Welcome, welcome. Thank you guys for coming for another week of learning relationship skills. I'm Kimia Shastari, founder of Love Story Unicorns, and I'm doing my best to empower you all to be relationship experts and teach you as much as I can. So let's try and get as many people in this room to learn these skills too. If you go on the bottom right-hand corner, there's a little speech bubble. If you click that and click like and retweet, then more people can see it and come learn with us. And it's always fun when we have more people here and interacting and learning from one another and hearing all the viewpoints and being able to make our own decision on what we think is best in different situations. So let's have a quick recap on last week's lesson that we learned, which was on the skill of when to be vulnerable. So the summary from last week's session was that it's okay to be vulnerable with your partner whenever you want to, and waiting for the perfect time usually doesn't exist. When you're in the dating phase, this can feel even more scary because being vulnerable is something that you think you may lose your partner if you become vulnerable too quickly, or if you say the wrong thing, all things like that. And it's actually a good way to see if the person is a good fit for you and if they can create a safe environment for you to be vulnerable. So, and even when you're with a partner and you're in a relationship, if you can't be vulnerable with your partner, there's some deeper underlying issues going on that kind of need to be addressed. So being able to be vulnerable whenever you need to be is where it's at. It's a good sign. That's what a healthy relationship looks like. That's where we want to strive to be. Any questions, any stories, any comments, anything like that anyone wants to bring up, you're free to just put your hand up at any point, or if you're a speaker, unmute at any point at all. We love hearing from people. Welcome, Charlie, I see you. Awesome to see you here. Thanks for coming. So that's the recap from last week. And this week, I'll just give a moment, just in case you guys want to speak up and have a question or anything. I'll just give you guys the floor. Thumbs up. Beautiful. Awesome. All right, let's jump into today's topic. So today's topic is on trust, which is such a core part of relationships and love and making things work and making everything beautiful and work smoothly and properly. So what is trust? So trust is not something that we can take out of your blood and test, and there's no physical objective thing that we can measure what it is. Trust is a feeling. Because it's something that's internal, that's not really measurable. We can ask someone, out of 10, how much trust do you feel? And that's a way to be able to gauge, but it's not the most reliable indicator. So it does become hard when you're talking about trust, and people can have all sorts of different feelings associated with it, and it can get really confusing. So let's dive into trust and learn a bit about it, and then see if we can practice it with the Reddit questions for the week. So we've established trust is like a feeling. And one of the things that help us build the trust naturally for this feeling of trust to increase is when people's words and beliefs match their actions. And this is something that you can tell with, I see a hand. Armand, go for it.
Yeah, what would you say trust is? I know you say all the time it's really important to define things. My trust may not be the same as your trust, may not be the same as someone else's.
Yep, perfect question. So trust, let's start with what the definition of trust is on the internet. So trust by definition on Google is, number one, a firm belief in the reliability, truth, ability, or strength of someone or something. And the second one is, number two is an arrangement whereby a person, a trustee, holds a property. Okay, that one's not related. So yeah, firm belief in the reliability, truth, ability, or strength of someone or something is the dictionary definition. And I appreciate Armand bringing this up because, with every word in the English language, we can all interpret words differently depending on our own history of how we interact with the word. So it's, sometimes a miracle that we can even communicate with each other and, be on the same page and understand each other. So if I ask two people what love means to them, they can give me two very different answers. So trust in general, let's start with the dictionary definition and try and unpack it more. And each of you will likely have your own definitions. My definition, if I had to try, and you're putting me on the spot to try and figure out, verbalize what trust is to me, I guess trust to me means that, it's a tough one. You're going to be loyal to me. You're going to be honest and truthful with, the things you tell me when I ask you questions. You have my best interest at heart. There's so many things in there. So that's a good question you asked me. Even you can see I don't have the best way of describing it. And if you ask someone, it really takes a second for us to think about what does it even actually mean? Because it's, something that's, not tangible, or like, physics, something that has like, a lot of ground to it, that's, more objective. Trust is very subjective. So let's kind of figure this whole subjective thing out together. So first, we've established it's a feeling, it's subjective. The next thing that we can help, guide us with what trust is. We know trust is important. There should be trust in a relationship. Now, how we can establish trust quickly or make sure we have it is to make sure that people's words and beliefs match their actions. And this is something that usually you can tell, after a bit of time, because at the beginning, it's a lot of words. When you're first dating someone, or maybe you just get into a relationship, people can promise you the world. But one of the important things that you have to figure out is if, they're saying all these things, is it matched with their actions, and, things like that. Even their beliefs, they can come across like, I really care about this, I really care about that, or I'm, very driven, and things like that. And then, you can see if that matches. Are they disciplined? Are they able to do what they say they're going to do when an opportunity comes up where, they've been talking a lot about how someone should care? Do they show it in actions when you're meant to? So words and beliefs matching actions is huge. And looking out for that and not feeling like, oh, it's okay, like I should cut them slack. I should cut them slack. I'm not perfect myself. There's so many things we can say to ourselves to kind of discount this, but it's a really important indicator. So even with yourself, it's really important for these things to match. And naturally, when these things don't match, in psychology, there's a thing called cognitive dissonance. And that's when your beliefs don't match your actions. And that can cause a lot of, yourself to overthink things, think you're not who you're meant to be, or, want to be. And that is, can be very hard to deal with even yourself. So getting those things aligned for yourself and noticing it being aligned in your partner is really important for trust to be in a healthy environment to grow. So look out for that. Another thing is, when you can trust someone more easily if they're able to take ownership when they do something wrong and say sorry and be accountable. That's a huge part of it. So it's a really good sign. Like when I see it, I think it's very impressive and a good sign when someone can admit they've done something wrong, because we're all human, we all make mistakes, and owning up to it is something not everyone does. So it's a really positive thing when it happens, being able to say sorry when you're wrong. Usually, in just about every situation, we can take accountability for something. And just that something, if you are with a high quality partner, will go so far in them, also taking accountability for their portion of it. And it just gets resolved so much more quickly. So that growth aspect of taking ownership when, with some part of it, at least when something doesn't go right, and apologizing is also a big part of, healthy trust being built. All right. So let's look at another one. So another indicator that can help build trust is, it's really helpful when someone can know that you will tell them the truth, even though it will make you upset. And I know for my husband, Armand, who's in this Twitter space right now, I was able, like for myself, I was able to trust him quite quickly. And we started off with international long distance. And to be able to handle that and navigate that, you really need a lot of trust at play to be able to hold on to it and make the right decisions at different points. So Armand was really great at being able to tell me things that, were uncomfortable, were hard to share. And, I could even see like the pain on his face sometimes when he would share things. And I know it was so much easier not to tell me. In the short run, it was really hard, but in the long run, it was so worth it. So whenever you're thinking, should I hide this? Oh, this is going to set us back. This is uncomfortable, things like that. That's probably a good sign for you to just have an honest chat with your partner. Let them know things that are hard for you to say. If they're a high quality person, they're going to create a supportive space for you. They're going to be there for you. They're going to make you feel loved. And bottling is bad. I know that's a skill we touched on in a much earlier week. It was probably week 2, and this is week 19. But it's so easy to bottle up things that are uncomfortable or a little frustrating, a little annoying, or make you angry. And it can really show in a lot of different ways down the line, which is really unhealthy. So please, when you're in that point where you realize this is an uncomfortable conversation, address it head on, and so you can have a happier long relationship with your partner. And if you're still in the early stages in your relationship and you're not married yet, or you're dating, this is a really good test to see. Well, I don't want to call it a test, but it's a really good way to see if you're a good fit. Because if someone is not being able to handle some of these things, these are good things to be able to sort out quickly. And if you're not with the right person, you would rather figure that out now than later down the line when you're married or have kids or just been with them for so long and are so invested. So this is a good thing to do just practice wise. Okay, and then so the other thing was when you find a high quality partner, it's important to go into a default mode of assuming that they have your best intentions at heart. And this is something that, some people naturally don't do for whatever reason. They always think like, oh, someone's maybe out to get them, or, they have a history of people actually going out to get them. Um, and so when you notice, or if I'm helping, someone with their relationships and I notice, this is something that we kind of need to unpack together. So if you have found a high quality partner and they haven't done things for you to be able to justify thinking they don't have your best intent at heart, but you're anxious about different things or things like that, and just in your daily life, it's important to get to a place where both of you can first assume or start off at least saying that I know your intention isn't bad, but I just wanted to understand what happened here or what's going on. And so that approach is very different with you're a liar. I can't believe I saw this. That's just a very different approach. The first one was showing that their intent is good, and the second one is your intent is horrible. I'm coming after you, and those can result in very different conversations and arguments and length of time it can last and all sorts of things. So, a sign of really healthy relationships is when they assume that their partner is not out to intentionally hurt them because they know their partner truly deeply loves them and wouldn't do anything to do that. So, that's where you want to be. Another thing to keep in mind is that when trust is broken or a lie has been come out, or you admit to it yourself, or something like cheating has occurred, it's really hard to undo. It really undoes so much of the work you've put in to build this relationship. It really sets you back. And for cheating specifically in a relationship, when they did studies on this, they found that 33% of people in relationships who have been cheated on can still survive in the relationship and still stay with their partner. So 66% of people end the relationship after they found out there's cheating involved. So what do the 33% of people that can push through cheating, what do they have? Or what's the difference between these two groups of people? So this is quite important. This relates to if there's been a lie or for some reason trust has been broken. So in situations like that, it's really important for the person that's been lied to, cheated on, that person needs to figure out if they want to give this a go and try and make this better with their partner or leave them. So if it's bad enough for you, and you got to assess your own values and your own boundaries, and if you decide this person is not a high enough quality partner, you deserve someone that won't treat you like that, then that you choose to leave the relationship quite quickly after you figured that out. But it's an important conversation to have with yourself. The other part is, if you do decide to stay and give it a go, you need to decide not to bring it up to the other person, um, you know, at all. And this is a really hard thing for people to understand or do, because I'm not saying that you need to forgive them. I'm not saying you need to forget it. But if you're trying to make this work and you put, for example, I don't know, maybe a boundary that I'm going to give this my best go to make it work for the next year, and then I'm going to review the situation. For that 1 year, you are not going to keep throwing it in their face, because if you keep doing that, it's not helping a relationship, it's making it worse, and the other person feels less and less like they can change. And in the period of time that you want things to change, they have to believe that they can change. So that means on your end, you make a decision, and it's not going to feel good, but you make a decision not to bring it up. And on the other side, they need to do everything they can to regain your trust. So if they need to you to tell them where they are this many times a day, or they need to have the password to your phone, or whatever it is, you need to do everything you can that's important to your partner to regain their trust. And their definition of what trust is really important. I can have a different definition to trust than that person's partner, and my definition doesn't matter. The partner, like the person involved, their definition of trust is what's really important. And so that is a way that someone can navigate the relationship and find a way to still make it work, which is that 33% of people that can recover when trust is broken deeply. Okay, so some heavy stuff there. We learned quite a few different tips and tricks on trust. Now let's dive into some relationship questions from Reddit. But before we do that, does anyone have any questions at all? Any comments? This is a great time to bring it up. If you do, I'll just give you guys a moment to put your hand up or request to speak.
This might also be a good time to ask everyone what trust means to them.
Oh, that's a good
Uh,
one.
for- so, for example, to me, I feel like trust means that we have some shared set of beliefs and that we're committed to upholding said beliefs. This is like, I guess, kind of like general to the workplace or like anywhere else. Like, for example, I might, you know, I might have this signature dish that I cook, and someone might be like, "Hey, like, what if I cook it this time?" And I have some quality standards there, I guess, that if I don't think they're going to do it right, I'm not going to trust them to cook the dish. I know that's kind of very small, but like, I think it general relates to a lot of stuff like work and tasks and so on. And I think there's also the part of it that you touched on where it's like, does what someone say match up with what they actually do? And I think that's also, kind of like, hey, you're saying that we believe these same things. Now, in your actions, are you upholding the things that we say we share? Anyway,
Thank you. Thank you for the insight. I know with cooking things, I don't know if I had your trust with cooking things early on, and I had to build that trust. So yeah, it's so
the first
interesting.
time Kimia came to America and she
Oh my
cooked
gosh,
something, she lit the stove on fire.
I'm a
There was
good cook,
literally
so
a fire in our house.
it was really bad. But no, but I'm a good cook, so it came out really wrong. And so that was, I had to
To be
build
fair,
my
it wasn't her
trust.
fault. What had happened, there was some like debris because I had never cooked on that burner. So there was like some, unclean food particles there. And, as soon as the gas stove turned on, they just like caught on fire. And but anyway,
Yep. Thank you for clarifying. But yeah, I had to earn my trust back a bit after that situation. So what's it called? Yeah, anyone else feel brave enough to share or just speak their mind on what they think trust means to them? There's no judgment. We can all have our own opinions on what trust means. Does anyone feel comfortable to share? No worries. You can also have a think about it in your own time at any point. But yeah, thank you, Armand, for sharing what trust means to you. Yeah.
To kind of be vulnerable and know that that will be accepted. Um, and yeah, just be comfortable with who you are. Like maybe if you laugh at dumb jokes that you think most people won't get, that you're comfortable enough to do that. And yeah, I don't know, just to feel comfortable with who you are and you don't need to change in front of that person. I think that's what trust means. I was also thinking, what are some things you can take away? So I was thinking with this trust, it's good to know what your partners, how they see trust. So you can kind of be aware in case things get a little bit rocky. Um, and maybe if you like break that trust, you can have a deeper talk with your understanding about where they see trust and what it means to them. But what are some other points that you might think people can use the understanding of like people's different views on trust to like when would they use it and like how can I help them?
Great question. So, I like the different points that you brought up. The one of the things that stood out to me was what trust means to your partner, and you might realize that it's something very specific that you need to be on the ball with. Like, for example, someone might say to me, trust means that when we're with other people, you always have my back. If anyone's even slightly making fun of me, even as a joke, or anyone I don't know, is mean to me or anything like that, you like, fight for me. Like maybe their version of loyalty, like trust, means that. And so unless you knew that, you may not deliver exactly the way that they wanted, and you can really step up in that moment. Once they've communicated, that's what trust means to them. And the more you get to know someone, the more you'll realize where trust gets triggered and when it doesn't. And one of the ways is they can feel very safe and comfortable and be vulnerable with you, which is a really great sign. Or they can, you know, have all these like negative reactions in a relationship, or like things that, you're like, you don't understand why they're behaving this way. And it could be that, they don't feel like they can trust you in a relationship. And it's not easy to say that. But that's kind of what's going on for them. And then peeling back the layers and figuring out for them, what is it that they feel like they're not experiencing. So hopefully that helps fill in a little bit more of the gaps. And when we do the questions, we'll definitely tackle this in different angles and try and unpack it more. Chala, did you want to take a go at defining what trust means to you?
Yeah, hi everyone. I,
Hello.
I feel like trust is being vulnerable, being able to open up to someone and know that, yes, this information you're giving to this person, this part of me I'm opening up to you, will not be used against me. And I see trust, like, on my own opinion, through my perspective, like, trust is like a two-way thing. You can't not trust someone and expect that person to trust you. It's like the senses, it's like something you sense when someone doesn't trust you, when you're not being open with me, and you not being open with me will make it hard for me to be open to you. So that's how it works. That's how I think it works. But it's not really as simple as it's said. Like, it's easier said than done. So yeah, you have to put a lot of effort, and you need to know the people you trust. You just can't go out trusting everyone. You need to know the kind of person you are working with, the kind of person, the attitude and personality, before you can, yes, trust that person. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Thank you. That was awesome. Yeah, I love your definition too. And I want you guys to notice, look at how each of our definitions of trust are a little different to each other and sometimes more different than we think. And we touch on all these really great points. And, all of us are right in how we're describing what trust is to us. So thank you for expanding our definition of what it is and, just thinking about these things. I know, like you said, it is a two-way street with trust. And one of the ways that I was able to quickly build trust with Armand, now that I think of it, is I'm a very open person. And so, I've been through a lot. So I had an abusive father and things like that. But I can talk about them without, bawling out into tears or feeling really sad about it because I've already processed it all. So, for example, I can share a lot and things that normally people don't share with others that when they meet them quite early on, and so that creates, when the first person opens up, it makes it so much easier for the other person to open up too, because they feel like they're not the only one. It kind of sets the tone. And if you realize that you did open up, one person is opening up more and the other person isn't, it's okay to ask about it. Be like, I noticed that I've shared quite a few deep, emotional, vulnerable things to you. And I know you haven't done that with me yet. I'd love to understand kind of where that's coming from. And, just openly hearing them out and seeing kind of what barriers are in the way. There's so many things that could be at play, but starting that conversation is really important. It's so easy to bottle that up and just think, oh, it's okay. Like, they'll eventually trust me, or things like that. And no, as soon as you feel like, why isn't it being reciprocated? That doesn't feel good. I feel embarrassed that I opened up. These negative emotions, it's actually really great to notice that these are the things that you need to be able to communicate with your partner and be able to have honest conversations. Because if you don't address it and it continues, this is just going to get bigger and bigger. And you're choosing the short term of not telling them because you think, oh, hopefully it'll all work out and it'll just get better itself. And it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and in the long run it becomes a problem. So it's really, really helpful to, whenever you feel negative emotions about these sorts of things, it's okay to share them with your partner. And if you're the one listening to these things, be able to create a safe space for them to be able to share it and be able to honestly respond to them. And all of these things contribute to that trust growing and becoming stronger and becoming better and better. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate that. So let's jump into some Reddit questions. So this one in it is a 27-year-old male and a 26-year-old female. And so quite a few of these are going to touch on loyalty, because loyalty is usually a big part of trust, especially if you're investing all of this time and energy. You want to make sure it's worth it and it'll last usually. So the first couple of Reddit questions really relate to this point, and we can practice trust and see how that is involved in these scenarios. So my fiance wants me to punish her for cheating on me. My fiance and I have been together for over a year with marriage plans in the next few months. But yesterday she confessed having cheated on me with her coworker, who was a male and 23, to whom she claims that she didn't have any feelings and that she doesn't know how it happened. I've already noticed how she was really troubled the last few days. She feels horrible about it, and I can see how guilty she feels. I forgave her, but she keeps asking that I punish her somehow, that she won't feel like she deserves any happiness unless I do. So I can feel how much she's hurting, and I don't want to make her feel worse. I really don't know what I should do, but I chose to accept that she wants what she wants and punish her somehow. How should I do it? This is a bit of an interesting situation, this one. The person who's cheated wants to be punished. What do we do with that? How does trust come into play here? If you had a friend who's coming to you with this question and they're like, you're this relationship expert now, you go to these classes every week, you learn some skills, what should I do? How do you address something like this? Who wants to take a shot at even unpacking this one? Mazda, I see your hand.
Yeah. This one's a bit complex. I don't know. I think from my perspective, I think she wants to be punished because that's how she wants to take it. But she's not thinking how the other guy. Maybe the guy already accepted it, but that's not rebuilding his trust. Like I don't think he's getting anything from that. But she wants to feel that way to make sense in her brain, I think. But I would like. It's about the guy in this situation. How does he rebuild the trust with her? And like, what is he looking for? What does that mean to him? I think she's missing that point completely. And dude, I don't know, maybe I would be something like, I want you to do a noble act or something. And I'll be like, I'm going to set you a goal of like completing that marathon. And when you complete that marathon, then I'll feel a bit more happy or something like that, or something encouraging. But yeah, I think it's really about the guy in the situation. She didn't even ask.
Well done. I love that. Before I jump in with my 2 cents, anyone else want to jump in with their thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I'm down to go.
Okay. Charlie, go for it.
Well, wait, so she wants him to punish her for cheating, and
You got
it's
it.
a matter of like, did he actually forgive her? Because he could have said, yes, I'm over it, but then you say you're over it, but there will still be a little like, there will be ways that he'll try and project that pain or anger out after still saying, yes, I'm over it. And she might have noticed that, and she'll be like, okay, since you'll be like, maybe there might be a small argument, you'll be like, at least I didn't fuck my coworker, that kind of thing. And that kind of statement can just come out, and you'll be like, I thought you were over this already. You said you apologized, and she might be already guilty for what she did because, yeah, she just opened up. He didn't find out himself. It wasn't like he found out himself. So, yeah, since she opened up to tell him, I feel like it was the guilt, and that shows that she actually loved the guy. But maybe she felt that maybe he just said, yes, I forgive you, but deep down it still hurts, and she just needs something to happen. Like, what can I do to just let this pass? I need something. I actually feel for her at this point, but she shouldn't have done what she did in the first place.
Thank you. Yes, this is another great aspect that you bring up. So I'll tackle these. I'm jotting them down to remember. Armand, you were about to speak earlier. I'll let you say your 2 cents.
Oh, I was just gonna say I like Mazda's idea of, hey man, like I don't get anything, but like go run a marathon, go like I don't know, raise $1,000 for charity, like get a 6-pack so that when we have sex, it'll be even better for me. Just like I don't know, get something out of it.
I appreciate that. Okay, so let's touch on these points that were brought up, which are great points. So let's use our skills as well. So in this situation, trust has been broken. Charlo brought up that the timing matters. Of he says he's forgiven her with words, and we don't know if in his actions that's going to continue. Is he just going to keep forgiving her, or is he going to think about it more and it's going to affect him more later? In the story, he said that he found out yesterday. This is very fresh. And sometimes when you hear news, it can, you can think about it a certain way, and then within a few days, you can, sometimes have strong emotions about things, and it just takes time for you to process it. So I think it needs more time for the person to figure out if, they can, forgive this and what it looks like to move forward. I'm sure this person that's been cheated on has some sort of boundaries. For example, it's unacceptable to cheat on me again, or something. There needs to be some sort of boundaries that have been violated, that they need to be able to communicate what they need moving forward. So the full acceptance at this stage seems like it's still really fresh. They need to think about it a bit more to bring it up. And the Mazda, I'm quite impressed that you brought this up. You caught that the main person here that needs to feel better is the person that's been cheated on. And right now, it's so. Before I jump into this, one of the skills that we have learned in previous weeks to figure out arguments is to be able to notice who got upset first. And once we can find out who got upset first, we can address it accordingly. So yesterday, the girlfriend the fiance, communicated that she cheated on him. He was upset first. So in this situation, he definitely comes first, and he needs to figure out what he needs to be able to move forward. It seems like he wants to be, one of the 33% of people that do make it through situations like this. But he needs to figure out what he needs to be able to move forward and, consider all of his feelings involved. But yeah, she's definitely making it a lot about her because of her guilt, and I definitely understand where her guilt is coming from. But yeah, the main focus should be on the guy. I agree with that, and we need to kind of make sure that he's not getting screwed in the future and he's thought about things. And I think that's also where she's coming from too, but he just needs to be able to, it's very likely he's just freaking out about the marriage plans which are coming up. They were just, only a few months away. Maybe all the families are involved. There's so many things at play here. So he just needs to be able to have some space to figure out what he needs to be able to move forward. And there are definitely things that he needs. He just needs to figure out what they are and be able to verbalize them. And it looks like she's willing to do them, but she's kind of pressuring whatever she wants, whatever she defines as punishment. So yeah, trust has been broken, but it seems like it can be fixed. But the guy needs to be honest about what he needs to be able to move forward. And there usually is something that you would need in a situation like that. So being truthful to yourself and figuring out what you need and not just saying everything's okay. It's not normal for someone to be cheated on and have nothing that they need to be able to be changed in the future, if that makes sense. So it's okay to think about it and figure out what you need and to be able to communicate that and have your partner really do everything in their power to make you feel that trust again and earn your trust back. Okay, let's jump into another one. This one is a 22-year-old female and a 29-year-old male and a 23-year-old female. So I found out my boyfriend and friend have been texting each other. My boyfriend and I have been dating each other for 3 years. We've been in long distance relationship for a while, but this year I finally decided I'm ready to live with him. Today I decided to go through my boyfriend's phone to send him a Snapchat pic so we don't lose our Snapchat streak together. I also sent a random Snapchat pic of the floor to his friend on Snapchat. He has other friends on Snapchat. Okay, that part's not relevant. But today I decided to go through his Snapchat messages with my friend JJ, who's 23. I was shocked about what I just read. It was my boyfriend asking JJ for her address to send her clothes from Shein. Her reply was her address, and she said, I only accept cute clothes. Then I saw my boyfriend sent a screenshot of his Shein cart full of clothes such as tiny shorts, bracelets, sexy costumes like a maid and schoolgirl. I confronted my boyfriend about this conversation with JJ, and he told me that he wanted to buy those clothes for me and asked JJ for advice. I told him that he's lying since he asked for her address to send her clothes to her. He kept telling me that it's not what it looks like and that I'm only loyal to you. I texted JJ about this and she told me that my boyfriend never asked for her address. Obviously, I knew that was a lie too. I was crying so much at this point, I felt betrayed by my boyfriend and friend. I don't know if I should move back to my parents' house or continue to live with my boyfriend since my name is on the lease for our apartment. Both JJ and my boyfriend have been spamming me, but I have been ignoring them. I need advice on this since I don't know what to do. Now, I want you guys to put yourselves in the shoes of someone who's done. Let's assume that we're correct, and this boyfriend.
Can you summarize the situation?
Okay, it's a little bit of a long one. So, in summary, the girl saw on her boyfriend's Snapchat that he messaged her saying, I'm going to send you all these clothes, and send me.
Friend, right?
I don't know if it was best friend. No, just friend. I don't know. My friend.
Girl's going through boyfriend's phone for, we'll assume, legitimate reasons. And what happens is she noticed some text between the boyfriend and her friend where he asks for her address and sends her some, potentially quote unquote cute clothes.
And she says, I only accept cute clothes in response.
Right.
Yep. And then the boyfriend sends the friend a screenshot of a full cart of clothes that had inappropriate clothes in them too.
Okay. And then the girl confronts both of them about it. Friend's like, I never gave him my address, And she's like, I saw in the chat that you gave her your address. And the boyfriend was like, these clothes were for you.
That's right. Thank you for the quick summary. So that's
I'm not sure how quick it was, don't know. But I tried.
He tried. So this is a situation we're in. I want to ask you guys, let's assume that the boyfriend was doing the wrong thing. He was, engaging with a friend with the intention of cheating or has been cheating, who knows? Let's assume that that was the truth. Now, let's say he wants to make this work with his girlfriend. He's done with JJ. He only wants to be with, what's her face? Her name's not given, but he wants to be with his girlfriend. He knows he's lied. And now she asks him. So there was a point. There was a really important point right here. I'm just trying to find the exact wording. Okay, so I confronted my boyfriend about this conversation with JJ, and he told me that he wanted to buy the clothes for me and asked JJ for advice. So when the girlfriend confronted the boyfriend, let's put ourselves in the boyfriend situation. We know that this looks bad. It is bad. We've done the wrong thing. If we want this relationship to continue and we're going to end things with JJ, or it's already over, how can we approach this and create more trust? It's one of the skills that I touched on earlier today when we were going through what can create trust. Who can take a guess? If you're at this point in the story, you want to stay with your girlfriend, you want to make things right, what do you do when she confronts you? Have a think. What can create trust in a situation like this at that point?
Yeah, the truth will set you free. Just be honest.
No hablo inglés?
Oh my gosh, don't do that. The truth will set you free. I like that. Very catchy, very catchy. But yes, true. So accountability, when trust is broken, he needs to be honest and admit that the trust is broken. If he tries to make it look like she must be assuming wrong, like, he's a good person, all of this stuff is going to push their trust further and further away. He needs to take accountability for what he's done wrong and be able to say sorry and own it, and see if she will take him back, yes or no. And if she is willing to take him back, what does she need to be able to feel like she can gain that trust back again? That should be the conversation that they're having. All of this denial and things like that, it's just going to push you further and further away. And even if you can convince them that you were telling the truth when you were lying, it's likely to come up later. And if they figure out you were lying back then, that just destroys the whole relationship. And, you've just invested even more time into it, which is harder. So good job. Tell the truth. Don't bottle it up. Definitely don't gaslight your partner saying that they're making the wrong assumption and just spamming them at the end. Saying, they've misunderstood the situation. They're wrong. That's not the way to go. That doesn't build trust. It only pushes it further away. Okay. So I think we've addressed that one. Okay. Let's jump into a slightly different topic.
Wait, just so I understand.
Yeah.
So, in that situation, we did not assume we assumed the boyfriend was not in the wrong. And
No, we were assuming the boyfriend was lying, and he actually did do that, and everything was.
What if he wasn't lying and he's just really dumb? Is that same thing goes?
Well, he would really honestly need to explain how that happened. If it's the truth, you got to speak your truth. But it's quite, there's just been, she saw the address, she saw that he asked for her address, and that.
That was the point. Well, if it was for me, why are you asking for her address? I don't see how the guy was in the right. If you ask me, I'm sure he was doing something he wasn't supposed to. I'm almost.
I appreciate that, Jello.
Okay, but let's just say parallel universe.
Parallel universe. Okay.
Yes.
He hasn't done anything wrong.
Okay. Another situation.
A different situation.
Okay.
It looks real bad.
It looks bad.
And he's thinking to himself, oh my God, how the heck did I do this? How did I not see?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then what?
Well, you have a lot of explaining to do, because how did he get to that point? You should have seen it. I would have seen that. The point from asking her address, and she's telling me she wants something cute. Hold up, something cute. Why would I be sending you something to look cute? You're not my girlfriend. How do I explain that? So it's going to be very hard. But if he can okay, explain it. I wouldn't know how to explain that. If I didn't even say anything.
I know. I think it has to be a completely different situation. I don't know how to explain it differently either.
I don't know how to explain that.
All right, never mind. It seems like I've sinned, so let's just go on to the next scenario.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I think it was a good question that we're touching on. So if we completely think about a different situation where it looks really bad, but they actually haven't done anything wrong or something's been misunderstood.
Yeah, that happens.
Yeah, that happens. And so I'll ask you guys, how do you think you'll respond to that before I weigh in?
I don't know. Just be honest. That's just it. There's nothing else. You just be honest and hope she understands. That's just it. In my point of view, like that, I don't know what else to say about that.
Yeah. I think some guys, they're so good, they have no idea what's going on. They just say it's a prank, bro. Yeah, they're going to take accountability.
Yeah.
Yes, accountability was the word I was looking for. So, in this situation where they haven't done something wrong or something looks bad, the best thing to do is to communicate that I know this looks bad, because you're acknowledging the situation, and you can express, like, I understand you wouldn't trust me right now hearing this, and that you're really questioning our trust, because that's actually what's happening. If something looks bad, they're questioning the trust. So acknowledging the truth, which is the trust is being questioned right now, rightfully, because it doesn't look good, and you explain your side honestly, like you have both said so far, and then gather as much honest evidence as you can find to be able to communicate that this is the truth. I don't expect you to trust me just based on my words, so here are some other things that will hopefully help you decide for yourself what's going on. I can only tell you the truth from my end. Hopefully you've been truthful in the past, so you have a history of being able to tell the truth. That will really, really help. And then kind of, again, like figuring out what they need for them to feel like they can trust you again. What do you need to do to regain their trust, even if you haven't done anything wrong? And that sucks, but it looks bad. So they're the ones that got upset first, because whatever this thing happened, something upset your partner, and they're coming at you really upset. So they got upset first, they're communicating to you they're upset. We need to address their problem before it becomes we're upset about something. So great points, guys. Yes. So let's go on to the next question. So this is a 21-year-old female and a 25-year-old male. So my boyfriend told me.
So hold up.
Okay. What do you want to know?
Back to the previous one.
All right.
What if they're asking you to do something? Like, you know what I need?
Okay.
I need the password to your phone.
Yep.
And I need you to I need to look at it every night.
Okay.
Every night I get to look at the entire contents of your phone.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes whenever I want, I'm allowed to do random phone checks. So you can't just delete your history.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, dude, that's kind of unreasonable. Like, what the heck, man? I didn't even do anything wrong. Yeah, it looks bad, but then what?
Okay, interesting points. So I think by default, I would do it. I would just be like, sure thing, you can check my phone anytime. Honestly, I would have already given them my password. Personally, I don't get triggered by anyone looking through my phone or my laptop or anything like that, because I've honestly got nothing to hide, so you can look away, and then look all you need to. So I wouldn't personally mind that. So, but I know some people, like my husband, I think he would feel untrusted a lot if I asked to do that for him.
Why are you bullying me?
Yeah, me too. I would why? What are you looking for? I would also be very defensive, because it's almost like you're searching to find something. Like, if I'm an honest person, like when I'm in a relationship, I don't play around or do whatever. So if after all that, you'll be like, okay, I need to be seeing your phone every second, every night, all that kind of stuff, I'll be very defensive, and I wouldn't like it at all. That would be what will bring the problem. Like, you can just let it go. Or better still, why would you just call your friend or bring the friend over, and the both of us can convince her, see what's going on. You're just getting the whole story wrong, and let it settle there. But I wouldn't want her to be checking my phone so frequently. Like, what exactly do you want to find? What are you looking for?
Yes. So I love this conversation right now, because we all have different boundaries, and this is all super relevant. Oh my gosh, Firestar, I see you. I see you requesting to speak. I'm going to accept right now. Oh my gosh, it's coming up, but then. Okay, speaker, awesome. Feel free to weigh in.
Hello?
Hello.
Hi.
Welcome.
Sorry, I think my thing was running on latency, but I was still listening. Are we still talking about this issue where the guy, the photos and the clothes?
Yes.
Okay, because it blipped for me for a second, so I thought it was this. But
no worries. We're still here.
okay, but if he's in the right, just give access to the phone if that's what she requires to trust him and he wants to make it work. Because if he wants to make it work, he just gives access to the phone. It's gonna die away in a while. What's wrong in that?
Yeah. So me and Paris are on the same page, and Chalo and Arman are on the same page, and this is a really good.
So this is probably bad, but I was actually kind of fishing for something.
What were you fishing for?
Paris brings up a good point, where it's like, if you want to make the relationship work,
Yep.
bro, you got to do it.
All right.
But that comes from a solid foundation where you, at the beginning,
you've filtered people out and you made sure that you found a quality person.
Yep.
And you've decided, yes, this is a person worth fighting for.
Yep.
And then doing that is what's going to make, allow you to make that decision of, okay, yeah, this really sucks, even if I hate it, but this person is worth it, because you've decided at a previous point whether they're worth it or not.
Great point. Love it. Absolutely. And this specific topic that we bring up actually generalizes to pretty much every argument relationships can have. So usually one person's upset and they want something, and now it's the other person that has to decide if they can give them the thing that they want, or if they have to compromise or negotiate or figure an alternative out. So let's say in this scenario where the person hasn't done anything wrong, it looks really bad. The person that got upset first, the partner, says, I need to have access to your phone. I need to know the password and check it every night. And you are someone like Armand or Chalo, and that makes you feel defensive and uncomfortable and untrusted. So then the next step, if you can't give the person exactly what they want right now, it feels like really hard and uncomfortable. You got to figure out what can you offer to give. So, you could be like, how about we do this for like a week or a month, or like, I don't know, however long you think that your boundary is that you can do this, or offer another alternative of something else that you're open to do to increase the trust. Like I think, Chalo, you said, let's get all the people involved and hear from them and kind of what their experience was. Maybe that's something that would help the situation that she didn't even think of or thought you would never be open to. So then it becomes, so whenever you can't offer something that they want, you have to figure out an alternative that they can still feel satisfied with. And if they dig their heels deep and say, no, this is the only thing I want, this is the only thing that's going to make me feel better, then you got to figure out how high quality is this person. Like if they are really high quality, you'd be like, all right, like I'll just give it to you.
You're gonna be like, all right, but you have to take a polygraph test and you have to pay for it.
Yeah, or all sorts of things you can try. Absolutely. So get creative with your solutions, but definitely take what someone asks for seriously, but do negotiate. I'll tell you one of the things I'm personally working on in my relationship. So when I get upset, I say I'm upset, which is good. I'm not bottling it up. And I say what I want, which is great. So now the person knows how to make it better. But what I struggle with that I'm working on is if my partner says no. So if Armand says no, I can't give you that, I get so upset. I actually get really, really upset. And this is something I've been working on for so many years. And because I don't even think of negotiating, I just think that he said no to me and that's the end of it. Hello. Oh my gosh, I see the Wild Guardians here. Welcome. And so I get really upset and I just kind of shut down and I have to pick myself up and figure out what to do. But I've gotten a lot better at it now. But now, whenever someone says no, or Armand encourages me. Is like, is there something else that you want? Or what about this? Or what about this? Or what about this? And it makes me think bigger than the thing that I'm asking for. So just a bit of insight into what I'm personally working on my own relationship. So we can all have room to grow. It's a lifelong journey of improving your relationships. And remember to negotiate if you can't give them exactly what you want. And hopefully you can figure out a good compromise. All right. That was a good conversation. All right. Let's jump into the next Reddit question. So female 21, male 25. My boyfriend told me I'm not as intense is the heading. So if we go a little deeper in, it says we've been dating for a few months now and we started to get pretty serious. A few weeks ago, we were talking about where we are at and how we feel towards each other. And he told me the feeling he was with me is not as intense as it used to be with his ex. It's important to say that he was in a pretty unhealthy, toxic relationship from both ends for a few years. And I think what he intended to say was that he feels calmer and more at ease with me. However, his choice of words really stuck with me. It made me feel like his feelings for me aren't as strong, like he doesn't desire me as much or as if I'm not intriguing. I know that the relationship with his ex-girlfriend was indeed very intense. He has told me himself that it was all either very low lows or very high highs. So knowing this, I think that I can understand where he's coming from and what he's trying to say. But somehow the whole thing doesn't sit right with me. So my question is, do people who come out of toxic relationships tend to find healthier partners boring or uninteresting? Can't decide whether I'm overreacting or what he said was a self-report. Okay. So in summary, Armand appreciates summaries. So he compared her to his ex and said, you're not as intense as her. And then she kind of thought it was okay, and then she realized she's not okay with that statement. And she knows that previously he was with her for years and it was really toxic, and there was really low lows and really high highs. So now her question is, does someone who get out of a toxic relationship find healthier partners boring and uninteresting? So if you were the relationship expert and someone came to you as a friend and wanted your advice, what do you think you would say? Ooh, silent crickets on this one. Interesting. Okay, I'll tackle this one. So first thing is, it's really helpful that we know that previously he was in a toxic relationship for years. And definitely when we switch to a healthier relationship, it feels strange to us, because it's not the same as it was before. And a healthy relationship can feel really safe and comfortable, but not have the same extremes. If you hit rock bottom in a relationship, and then somehow like you make up for it, and then you feel like, oh, they still do love me, and then you feel so happy because you were at such a low point. Of course, your variance in your feelings is going to be really large, from being at rock bottom to feeling loved again. So there's that huge contrast is kind of what he's getting at with the intensity here being different. So for a lot of us, going into a healthy relationship can feel sometimes not as exciting, or like, it might just feel like a little bit. And some people will break up because of that. And that's just because they're comfortable with being treated badly in the past, because that's what normal is to them. And, for myself, being completely transparent, having an abusive father growing up with his family, there were a lot of unhealthy patterns that I grew up with that were very normal to me. And, I found myself, liking so many people that didn't like me back repeatedly, until I met my husband. And, it really takes a bit to consciously make a decision that you are going to go for higher quality and really break the habits, the bad habit, like realizing that they're bad habits, and, recognizing what a good relationship looks like, and fighting for that, and realizing that in the long run, that is what is going to make you feel most loved and be the most happiest. So it definitely, can bring up these emotions for both people if they're experiencing something like this. So that's something to keep in mind. It was actually in the last week. The reason I put this Reddit question in there this week is because in the last few days, one of my friends sent me a video that actually touched on this point specifically. And it was in the video, it was a lady that, was saying that her therapist said that when she first went on a date with her husband, after the date, she thought, I can go out with him again. And it wasn't like, oh my God, I have to go out with her again. I can't wait to go out with her again. Because, it like she had bad relationships in the past. And, this was just really comfortable and it felt safe and felt really nice. And it doesn't mean it was bad, but it wasn't like, oh my gosh, I need to rip his clothes off sort of thing. And that's okay. And then it built from there, and it got stronger, and all of those feelings came, and now for the right person, for a person that is high quality. So just realize when you're transitioning from toxic relationships to healthy relationships, there's quite a lot of differences. And you may feel like something good is bad just because they're not treating you badly and having that huge rush of feeling loved again when they do something nice. So I've just put this one in to remind us of that point, that healthy relationships can look different if we're used to toxic relationships. Okay, now let's change the topic completely. Let's jump to, okay, my wife, so 25-year-old female, 29-year-old male. My wife and I always fight about the same topic, her sleeping all the way to 2 a.m. Okay, so the background on this one is how I can maybe change my viewpoint on this topic, or approach her and ask her to change on this. My wife is always sleeping all the way up to 2 p.m. We do have a daughter which is 18 months old, and from 8 a.m. until 2 p.m. it's always me who looks after her, to be at breakfast, changing diapers, playing, cleaning after her, and so on. While I do like to spend time with my daughter, it's honestly bothering me that I'm raising my child almost on my own, I feel. After my wife wakes up, she helps out and also looks after her, but always requires my help to a certain degree, which never allows me to have time for myself. And after she puts our daughter to sleep at 10 p.m., I go to sleep 2 hours after, while my wife is awake until 7 a.m., since she doesn't work. I even look after our daughter when I work which is often causing problems since I have meetings and there are times when my daughter cries out and disturbs slightly. How can I convince my wife to sleep earlier and to wake up in the morning with us? Okay, so let's say you have a friend who's got a baby, and he feels like he's kind of doing life on his own and his wife's sleeping super late, and he wants the situation to improve. Opening it up to the floor. Wild Guardians, I know you're in the audience. I don't know if you want to step up and say something or just be a listener. You're welcome to do both. Who feels confident to weigh in or comment at all on this one?
Sorry, what was the question again?
Sorry, just connecting Wild Guardians up. So the question on this one is, how can I change my viewpoint on this topic or approach her and ask her to change on this? Wild Guardians, I see you became a speaker. Do you want to weigh in? Do you want to comment? I see your hand. Go for it.
So one, I just wanted to personally say thank you for all the help, and it was a pleasure to meet you at NFT Detroit. Happy to be here and share this space, and firm believer we all grow together. Like I said, we had a great dialogue. Looking forward to the next meetup. And again, I'm really here to help support you, and again, like anything that we can do to help showcase what you're doing is great. So one, I will hit you on the point I want to take away from the space. I know it's being recorded. So again, I just really want to be here to support you, and if there's anything that we can do to help, just by all means let us know. But I think what you're doing here is really, really great. And as far as for that question, I'm not going to deep dive into it, just to kind of help participate here too, because I see this is what it's about. Is it just really all depends how one another feels, but we also do have to be respectful of the other person's feelings as well, because we just don't know, one, what they're going through, and then two, how they're perceiving it. So if we look at it from a different angle, we can see differences or maybe some similarities, but then again too, how can we also to help improve that? By one, I would say communication is one, is open up and say, okay, well, hey, if you are sleeping this long, but again too, it could be a lot of things, maybe something there's a chemical imbalance or is a health issue. I mean, there could be a whole bunch of different things, right? You don't know, but I would say first one is to communicate and open up, and talk about it sensibly, right? Not arguably. But I just wanted to come say hi, so that's my contribution.
Thank you so much. It was, guys, for you guys who don't know, I met the founder of the Wild Guardians in the last week at NFT Detroit Con, which happened recently over the weekend. And it was so amazing to see him there. I ran a Love Mastermind workshop, and his presentation was right before mine, and he had an amazing booth. And we just talked for so many hours, and he's such a lovely person. He's a veteran. He's an amazing father, and came all the way down from California for this event. And honestly, such a diamond of a person. So I'm so grateful. I was just talking so highly of you to my husband when I came back, and I'm really honored that you came today to join the space and show your support and even answer the question. It takes a lot to do that. So thank you so much. And communication is such a huge part of it. It seems like he's coming at the question with, I should change my viewpoint or I should ask her to change. And the first thing is maybe to ask what's going on. Like you said, communicate about it and see how she feels about what the situation. It wasn't mentioned in this Reddit question, but maybe she's experiencing postpartum depression and she's never communicated it. You don't know what's going on, or maybe some other things are going at play, or maybe she's completely oblivious and she feels like she's making you feel loved in all these different ways, but you're just not seeing it. And this is the thing that is most important to you right now. And her actually sleeping on time is the thing that can make him feel the most loved, and she doesn't know that. There's so many things at play here that we just don't know. And it's not just change or should I change my perspective. It's really unpacking what's going on, and it's very likely that for her it's some vulnerable things that are going on that she needs to unpack herself and share with you, and then figure out how to plan a plan to move forward. And it seems like, so I'm glad that in this story he doesn't seem like he wants to bottle it up anymore. He does seem to want to have the conversation, which is definitely a step in the right direction. Wow, I see awesome new people joining. I appreciate you guys. Andrea, great to see you. NFT Detroit, amazing to have you. We're just going through Reddit questions. We were on the second last one. Okay, so we're wrapping up with this one. We'll go through one more, and let's see if some of the newcomers feel brave enough to weigh in and comment on. So this one's a bit of a juicy one. It's a good one, and it's a short one. So 25-year-old male, 25-year-old female, and the mother is involved. She's 57. So my fiance's mother is bad-mouthing me to my fiance because I won't give her money. Now, some deep dive into this one. Me and my fiance have been together for 7 years. Recently, her mother has a very close friend and needs money for a house. Her mother asked me for help with the down payment. While I do a great job and have the funds which I am saving for a house and the wedding, but I don't feel that would be right. I told her that it would be a bit of an awkward situation currently, and we left it at that. A few days later, she told my fiance that she expected me to be more generous, and I feel that my finances has been somewhat, sorry, not finances, fiance. They've spelt it wrong. And I felt that my fiance has been somewhat distant to me since. How do I set boundaries and best handle this situation? So, quick recap: they've been together for 7 years. His fiance's mum's friend needs help with a down payment, and this guy respectfully said no, or said no, it would be a bit awkward, and left it at that. And then his own fiance has been acting distant towards him since. And his question is, how do I set boundaries to best handle this situation? What do you guys think with this one? Who wants to comment? Who wants to just give their reaction to this situation?
Well, I feel everyone is working towards financial freedom. Like that's the main goal for everyone. I guess that's my goal. So for the guy, he has his life all planned out. He's set his budget and everything. He's planning for a house, and all of a sudden, you bring in a different party. Like the person who actually needs the money is not even exactly close family. It's like your friend. So me setting my boundaries, knowing that yes, I'm putting myself in his shoes now. Like I know that I have my plans, I have what I'm saving up for, and simply saying you can't do it, the friend is supposed to be okay with it. Like yes, you don't have to feel entitled, because I smell entitlement in this. Like what? So I have my boundaries. I say no, I can't do this right now. Or maybe he said it will be on another time. He will be able to help out. Or I don't know how he like shut them down, but in any way he did it, they shouldn't feel entitled to his money. Yes, he's supposed to do what he has to do as family. He has his responsibilities, but now talking down on him and saying some other like things they're not supposed to say about him just because he has his priorities on a different, ball game. He has different priorities. So I don't think that's something that should have been done that way. I don't see the fault in the guy. I think the entitlement is the problem.
Thank you so much for your input. Love it, love it. Anyone want to weigh in their perspective, their reaction to this before we unpack this further? Paristar showing support. Love it.
I think maybe he hasn't made it clear what his goals are, right? And that's why everyone thinks he has too much money. Maybe he needs to communicate better with his fiance about what that money means to him in the next X number of years, what it means to them as a couple, and make her understand why that money is important and why he cannot part with it at the moment. I think it's about communication and finding out why the fiance is actually angry. It cannot be just because of the money.
Amazing points. Yes, yes. Who else wants to weigh in on this one?
I can.
Go ahead.
No, you do it, mate.
Yeah, I would say, dude, it's super weird. I don't know. It's so weird that there's like that expectation from the fiance, even though she's like not part of the family and she doesn't have the greatest connection with the mum. Especially when it's like, I think the mum's friend or cousin or something. I'm not exactly sure. Yeah, I think they need to have a clear what is the expectation and like where is that coming from and like should she have to feel responsible for giving something back? Dude, I just thought it'd be really funny if you take self-empowerment and then you send her a Grant Cardone 10x book. You're like, dude, you're gonna 10x the payment yourself.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
Oh man, I feel like, so with this specific situation, I feel like a lot of the reason, I don't know if I know what to do, but like I think I have some empathy for both sides. I think so. For example, Kimio's family, they're pretty open with giving each other money and stuff. Like they'll just casually give each other thousands of dollars when the other person needs it. Like in my family, like that would be weird. I don't feel comfortable asking my parents for money. When I'm 27, but like the other part is like part of the reason they got divorced was because of money. So like we don't talk. Babe's throwing a heart on her own chat. My God.
Just reacting to.
I'm just saying that he looks like I'm throwing a heart to myself. I'm like, man, that was
That's very emotional, Armand. You deserve one of these purple guys.
Well, he just said his parents broke up over
I mean, my parents broke up.
I know, but
anyway.
okay.
So I feel like the way people feel about money and sharing money is really kind of related to how their families handle that. So if her family is in such a way where, hey, like they're pretty open with money and sharing it, and if someone needs it, like you help them out. Yeah, I can definitely see why there would be some conflict here. I guess the solution is talking about what is the norm in your family, and maybe that can like help build some empathy from both sides. Where hey, like you may not agree to give them money, but like at least you'll be like, oh, this isn't. Both sides will be like, oh, this isn't like what I'm asking them to do is something really outside of the norm. So anyway,
Thank you for weighing in. I appreciate it.
Just throw myself another heart. Good.
I just gave him a hug. Okay, who else wants to weigh in on this one? Okay, all right. Let me weigh in on this one now. Okay, so many like important points were brought up, and I'm going to address some of them and add some of my own. So number one, nowhere in this kind of situation do we know how much money is involved. We heard that it's for a down payment, and usually down payments are really scary and huge. But maybe they asked, it's unlikely, but let's say they asked for $50, or like $500 or whatever amount it is, and now they're upset that he didn't pay this like $20 charity to raise money for this. I don't know. So first of all, let's find out how much money is involved. That will help us be able to better weigh in on what's going on. What Paristar said, he has goals of wanting to buy a house and pay for the wedding and things like that, and that's that's good goals. But also maybe he needs to be more clear with how much money he makes. Maybe she thinks he makes a lot more than he does. So clarifying that maybe could help the situation. The biggest thing that I took away from this situation when I heard it was, is she actually upset? We don't know that. We're assuming that. We're making a really big assumption on that. So all it says is after he said it may be a bit awkward and then left it at that, he said, let's use the exact words. He said, a few days later, okay. Sorry, I'm trying to get to the right place. And I feel that my fiance has been somewhat distant to me since. So we are assuming that it's related to this whole finance thing. And unless we have a conversation about it in detail, we don't know that for sure. It's possible that she's upset with her work. A million and one things could have happened that have caused her to be distant. Or maybe, she's freaking out about the wedding, or just so many different things could be going on for her that maybe isn't 100% related to this situation. So when we communicate, we all know communicating is good, which is great. I love that you guys say that and take away that when we have these conversations. But figuring out how to communicate is a whole nother story. So, a good place to start is, if you were the guy in this situation and you were like, okay, this is what's happened, I want to address it and communicate. I know communicating is good. A good way to start is, I noticed since the day that we had the chat with your mom about the friend's down payment, I've noticed you've been more distant with me since. Is that the case, or what is going on? What is going on for you? I would love to understand that better. And then hearing what is going on. And then, maybe she does communicate something similar to what Armand was saying, which is, the norms in their family of lending money, like they just lend money to each other. And, that person has also done so many crazy things for them. Or, they lend them money all the time too. Just figuring out these dynamics that are play. And it's very possible that two people have different views on money. Very simply, two different people can have feel differently about giving money to charity. Someone might want to give money to charity for this. The other person may say, no, I want to volunteer my time instead. Or no, I don't want to support this charity. I would rather it go towards our own family and, our kids and giving them a better life, or, for us to go on a holiday or whatever it is. So all of these different dynamics can come to play. And we really need to understand specifically, are they upset about this situation or something else? And if it is about this situation, what is kind of triggering these angry feelings, so we can unpack them. So family norms, that's a great point Armand brought up. And then another point is, how close is this friend? Maybe this family friend that, is trying to gain money on the down payment, like who knows, donated a kidney to someone, or, was more of a mother to her than, anyone else. Or like, who knows? We just don't know the dynamics. So kind of finding out all the ins and outs of a situation before we make an assumption that they're upset and we know exactly why. We need to ask them directly and find out why, and then go from there. And then, so his question in this story was, how do I set boundaries and best handle this situation? So the starting point would be to find out what's actually going on, if she's actually upset and why specifically she's upset. And then kind of knowing, like getting, once you have that information, you can figure out what are your boundaries. So maybe you are comfortable giving up to $100 for something like this, but you're not comfortable giving $200, or who knows what it is. But kind of, talking it out, seeing where their, your partner's boundaries are, and then where your boundaries are, and then figuring out how you guys can move forward and be on the same page when you make decisions. So maybe in this instance, she can be okay with you guys not contributing to the down payment of this house if this is something really important to her. Like, she's compromising. She's like, okay, on this one, I'm willing to let it slide. But in other situations relating to this, when someone needs help and they've, been there for me through my darkest times or something like that, I would expect that we contribute something or help in a different way. And then you guys can figure out whatever that is. And again, this comes back to that point earlier. If you found a high quality person that's really, really great, you work through these situations with them, because we remember that no two people are the same. No two people are exactly the same. You're always going to have differences, and sometimes on things like this, and that's completely normal. But you need to be able to push through them, work through them, and figure it out together. And, if you didn't find a high quality person, and, every week, she's yelling at you for not contributing to her mum's friend's down payment, maybe you need to think about if you're with a high quality partner to match yourself. So there can be so many things we need to assess, but the starting point is always figuring out what is actually going on in their mind and asking them directly, and then kind of navigating from there and figuring things out. All right, that comes to the end of the Reddit questions for today. Hats off to you guys for learning the relationship skills for this week, learning more about trust, showing up, being brave enough to come speak to those who did. Really proud of you guys. This is like something that, can hopefully help in so many different areas of your life. I know one of the questions that I had at the workshop last weekend was, do these skills apply to other relationships we have? And the answer is absolutely. So if you learn how to, resolve conflict quicker, or make someone feel more loved, or communicate better, these things can apply to, your siblings, your family, your friends, how you communicate with people in your workplace, just people anywhere. So this is really helpful that in so many different areas, and you'll figure that out more and more as these pieces come together and these skills kind of compound on each other. So awesome job, you guys. I'll just give the floor out to, in case there's any specific topic you guys want to have covered next week. I'm all about giving you guys as much tailored skills as I can that you guys appreciate. So I'll just give a quick moment for you guys to think about, is there any specific skill you would appreciate being covered next week? And if you do, just unmute yourself or request to speak, and I'd love to hear it. Last week we had someone by the name Ballistic come up, and he wanted this week's topic to be on trust, and that's why we did trust. So any topic you guys are thinking about, would love to know. I'll just give you guys a moment if anything comes to mind. Beautiful. Well, I'll pick one, and if you guys come up with one in the next few days, feel free to DM me, and I'll definitely take it into consideration and maybe do it in time for next week. So with that, wishing you all the love life of your dreams, and I'll see you guys next week. Have a great week, you guys. Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.